Have you ever wondered what it would be like to give up everything you have to find enlightenment? In this video, I'll tell you the story of Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become the Buddha. He was a prince who lived a life of luxury, but he gave it all up to search for the meaning of life. His journey is an inspiration to us all. The Buddha is one of the most influential figures in history. His teachings have helped millions of people find peace and happiness. In this video, I'll tell you the story of his life and his teachings. You'll learn about his journey from a wealthy prince to an enlightened teacher. You'll also learn about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which are the core teachings of Buddhism. Long ago, there lived a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in a kingdom called Kapilavastu. He was the son of King Suddhodana and Queen Maya. He was very handsome, intelligent, and kind. He had everything he wanted and lived a life of luxury and comfort. One day, when he was 29 years old, he decided to go out of his palace and see the world. He asked his charioteer Channa to take him around the city. As he was riding in his chariot, he saw four sights that changed his life forever. The first sight was an old man who was weak, wrinkled, and bent. Siddhartha asked Channa, "Who is that man?" Channa said, "He is an old man. He was once young and strong like you, but now he is old and frail. This is what happens to everyone who lives long enough." Siddhartha was shocked and saddened by this sight. The second sight was a sick man who was lying on the ground, coughing and moaning. Siddhartha asked Channa, "Who is that man?" Channa said, "He is a sick man. He is suffering from a disease that makes him weak and miserable. This is what happens to anyone who falls ill." Siddhartha was shocked and saddened by this sight. The third sight was a dead body, which was being carried by some people to the cremation ground. Siddhartha asked Channa, "Who is that?" Channa said, "That is a dead body. He was once alive and breathing like you, but now he is dead and gone. This is what happens to everyone who dies." Siddhartha was shocked and saddened by this sight. The fourth sight was a monk who was wearing a simple robe and carrying a bowl. He had shaved his head and had a calm and serene expression on his face. Siddhartha asked Channa, "Who is that?" Channa said, "He is a monk. He has renounced the worldly pleasures and possessions, and has devoted his life to seeking the truth and peace. He follows the path of wisdom and compassion." Siddhartha was intrigued and inspired by this sight. Siddhartha realized that life is full of suffering and impermanence. He wondered if there was a way to overcome these problems and find lasting happiness. He decided to leave his palace and family and become a monk like the one he saw. That night, he quietly left his palace without telling anyone. He cut off his hair and beard and wore a simple robe. He gave his horse Kantaka to Channa and asked him to return to the palace. He then set out on his journey to find the truth. He met many teachers and learned many things from them. He practiced various forms of meditation and asceticism. He tried to control his body and mind by fasting, sleeping on hard beds, wearing coarse clothes, and enduring pain. But none of these methods gave him the answer he was looking for. He then decided to try an extreme form of asceticism. He ate only 1 grain of rice a day and became very thin and weak. He almost died of starvation. But he still did not find the truth. He realized that this was not the right way either. He remembered that, when he was a child, he had meditated under a rose apple tree while watching his father plowing the field. He had felt a deep sense of peace and joy in that moment. He decided to follow the middle way between indulgence and self-torture. He accepted some food from a girl named Sujata, who offered it to him out of kindness. He regained his strength and health. He then went to a place called Bodh Gaya in India. There he sat under a large fig tree, which came to be known as the Bodhi tree or the tree of enlightenment. He resolved not to get up until he found the truth. He meditated for 49 days under the tree. He faced many temptations and distractions from Mara, the evil one, who tried to stop him from attaining enlightenment. But Siddhartha remained calm and focused. On the full moon night of May, he finally achieved his goal. He attained enlightenment, or awakening, or Buddhahood at the age of 35. He understood the true nature of reality and the cause of suffering. He also discovered the way to end suffering and attain nirvana or liberation. He became known as the Buddha, which means the awakened one or the enlightened one. He was also called Shakyamuni, which means the sage of the Shakya clan. He decided to share his wisdom and compassion with others. He went to a place called Sarnath in India, where he met his 5 former companions who had left him when he gave up asceticism. He taught them the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which are the core teachings of Buddhism. The 4 Noble Truths are, they raise suffering in life. The cause of suffering is ignorance and craving. There is a way to end suffering. The way to end suffering is the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path consists of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. These 5 companions became his first disciples and formed the first Buddhist community or Sangha. The Buddha spent the next 45 years of his life traveling and teaching throughout India. He attracted many followers from all walks of life, including kings, merchants, farmers, women, children, and even animals. He taught them how to live a moral and ethical life, how to meditate and cultivate wisdom, how to be kind and compassionate to all beings, and how to attain nirvana. He also performed many miracles and wonders to prove his power and authority. He passed away at the age of 80 in a place called Kushinagar in India. He attained parinirvana or final nirvana, which means he was free from the cycle of birth and death. He left behind a legacy of teachings and practices that have inspired millions of people across the world for over 2,500 years. We can learn from the story of Buddha is that suffering is a part of life, but it is not the only part. There is a way to end suffering and find happiness and fulfillment. The Buddha's teachings offer us a path to end suffering and find liberation. Many people in today's world are caught up in a cycle of suffering. They are constantly chasing after things that they think will make them happy, but they never seem to be satisfied. They may be addicted to material possessions, relationships, or experiences. They may be constantly worrying about the past or the future. They may be caught up in negative emotions, such as anger, hatred, or fear. The Buddha's teachings offer us a way to break out of this cycle of suffering. He teaches us that the cause of suffering is ignorance and craving. We suffer because we are ignorant of the true nature of reality and because we crave things that we cannot have. If we want to end suffering and find happiness and fulfillment, we need to follow the Buddha's teachings. We need to learn to live in the present moment, to be grateful for what we have, and to let go of our attachments. We need to cultivate wisdom, compassion, and love.